Wounded and bleeding, she still manages to defeat them. Crawling away, she finds shelter again as labor takes hold. Just as she gathers herself, a new enemy appears before her, raising a heron-marked sword in silence. Welcome to Cephastock Movie Recaps. Today we delve into the details of The Wheel of Time full Season 1 recap. If you're new to this channel, please do subscribe and let us know where you're watching from in the comments section. Your support is greatly appreciated, my dear friend. Thank you.
Many years ago, men who were...
The series begin with Moraine, who speaks of men's madness, trying to cage darkness. Studying a map, she puts on her ring. The dragon is reborn, unknown and hunted. She departs with Lawn, urgency rising. In a valley, two men race ahead, 5 women in red chasing on horseback. A narrow pass offers escape, until the leader lifts her hand. Rocks crash down, blocking the way.
We can't die like this!
One pleads for the other's life.
There's no one else here.
But the woman hesitates upon realizing that madness has consumed him. There is no second man. This power belongs to women alone. He screams as the women in red relieve him of the burden. From above, Moraine watches and sighs. He's not the dragon.
It's not him.
Lawn protests. The man was born 20 years ago, fitting the prophecy.
Prepared them for what's coming.
Still, they ride toward the two rivers, chasing rumors of Fort Taverin, all in the right age. At the two rivers, a group of women cross a stone bridge and reaches a cliff over the river. Nynaeve braids Egwene's hair.
We all stand with you.
Sealing her place in the women's circle. With a final lesson, trust, she pushes her into the river. Egwene fights the rushing current, panic rising. She struggles, then remembers Nynaeve's words to trust the river. Letting go, she drifts downstream. Weary but determined, she finally swims to shore. On the other side, Rand and Tam guide their cart down the mountain road as distant wolf howls echo. Rocks tumble suddenly. Rand draws his bow, scanning the hillside. They remark how there are more wolves now and that something is pushing them down the mountain. At the Two Rivers town, villagers gather as Tam delivers a cask of apple beverage. Laughter fills the air while Matt, Perrin, Rand, and Danya play dice.
Right, gentlemen.
Matt, confident of victory, tosses and loses. They chat. Rand teases Matt about his sisters, while Matt jokes about Rand pining for Egwene.
To keep him warm.
Did you hear already?
Talk shifts to rumors of war in Gildan. Matt, spotting a lady's bracelet, leaves while Rand and Perrin tally his losses. Egwene enters to cheers for being initiated into the women's circle. Her father sighs in relief, but she's swept away to celebrate. That night, thunder rumbles as Perrin asks Rand about Egwene's ceremony, but Rand hasn't spoken to her yet. A hooded man steps inside. Silence falls, but Nynaeve grips her dagger.
Name yourself, stranger.
Demanding his name.
This is Moraine.
He lowers his hood. Behind him, Moraine steps forward. Moraine surveys the room as whispers spread. Nynaeve tenses. They move upstairs, but Perrin watches, uncertain. Nynaeve mutters that they'll be safer once she's gone.
Pia and safer, and she's there.
Perrin then finds his wife Layla at the forge, working tirelessly. He wonders why she missed the ceremony. She leans back, whispering her quiet understanding.
Mum, what are you doing there?
Matt finds his mother drunk, his father flirting nearby.
Come on.
Stopping her anger, he takes her home. Inside, his sisters play. After settling his mother into bed, he offers his sisters a safe place to sleep with him, away from their parents.
1,000 wars have washed over the land.
On the other side, Meryn dismisses war rumors, confident the Two Rivers folk will stay untouched. Meryn assigns Rand and Egwene to finish dishes before leaving with the others. Alone, Rand and Egwene talk about the ceremony.
It was...
The conversation softens, leading to a quiet moment between them. Moraine and Lawn relax in a bath.
Could be warmer.
Steam rising as she warms the water to his liking.
Better?
Her mind lingers on the 5 youths, uncertain which one is the dragon reborn.
You think it's one of them?
Elsewhere, Egwene and Rand talk. Nynaeve has offered her a wisdom apprenticeship, but she has yet to decide.
It's a lonely life.
Rand hides his disappointment. It would mean Egwene could never be married if she accepts. Rain falls as a cloaked rider arrives, faceless, unseen terror called a fade. Meanwhile, a vendor Peyton Fane arrives, drawing eager hopeful children.
Never too early for your mom's bread.
Egwene serves breakfast to Tam, scanning for Rand. Meanwhile, Layla holds Perrin's hand, resting peacefully. Matt approaches Peyton, who greets him with a knowing grin. He hands over the stolen bracelet, hoping for a fair deal. But stolen goods never fetch much, and Peyton, smiling falsely, cheats him with a few cheap coins. Moraine and Lon stroll the village. Lon senses a fade lurking nearby. Meanwhile, Egwene finds Rand sitting alone on a rock, gazing into the distance.
Thought you might be here.
He admits this place makes him question his future. Before she can speak, he quietly reveals he already knows she's accepted Nynaeve's apprenticeship.
I'm going to.
No.
On the other side, Moraine finds Nynaeve at the sacred pool, speaking of the old wisdom who brought her there as a baby after her parents passed. Nynaeve reveals that the woman once sought training at the White Tower but was turned away.
It doesn't mean we don't remember.
Moraine studies her, guessing she's had her braid for only a short time. Nynaeve corrects her, 5 years.
So that makes you 25.
That would make her about 25. Moraine wonders if Nynaeve fits the Dragon's Age prophecy. Meanwhile, as the three friends talk, Matt senses that there's tension between Rand and his girlfriend, Egwene. Speaking of Egwene, she and Nynaeve stand on a bridge, unsettled by the wind's strange, ominous sound.
What does it mean?
Lon scouts the area and discovers 14 slaughtered sheep arranged in a strange pattern. From an upstairs window, Moraine watches Rand, Matt, and Perrin. Rand and Perrin hand Matt some coins for his sisters.
We'll be alright.
Rand heads home, leaving the others behind. Rand and his father Tam return to their farm, unloading the cart. Together, they light a candle for Rand's deceased mother, Carrie. In town, villagers set candles on wooden rafts for their fallen loved ones, sending them drifting downriver. Tam reflects on Beltane, the wheel's endless turning, and the hope of doing better each time. Nearby, hidden among the trees, Moraine silently watches. Egwene notices her but says nothing. The festival's glow flickers against the night. Music fills the village as dancing begins. Peyton Fane watches from the sidelines, unreadable. Lon warns Moraine, Trollocs and a Fade are close. They should leave, but she hesitates.
No.
The Dragon Reborn's identity remains uncertain. Chaos erupts as Trollocs attack. Egwene's partner falls, axe buried in his back. Villagers flee in terror. Nynaeve pulls Egwene to safety.
Get down!
Perrin and Layla lock themselves in the forge. A Fade watches from above. Matt rushes out, searching for his sisters. Meanwhile, Rand and Tam are ambushed by a Trolloc. Tam dives under his bed, pulling out a heron-marked sword. He fights fiercely but takes a wound to the shoulder. As the Trolloc overpowers Tam, Rand drives his blade into its back, killing it. Tam collapses, urging Rand to flee. A Trolloc lunges at Nynaeve and Egwene but misses. A white thread of power abruptly tears it apart. Moraine unleashes the one power against the invading Trollocs, with Lon on her defense. The women's circle lures a Trolloc into attacking, then swiftly takes it down. In the forge, Perrin and Layla fight desperately as a Trolloc crashes in. Matt finds his sisters hiding and rushes them to safety. Nearby, a Trolloc seizes Nynaeve by her braid and drags her away, Egwene helplessly watching. Inside, Perrin, unaware, swings his axe, mistaking his target for another Trolloc, only to fatally wound his wife, Layla. She dies in his arms, leaving him devastated.
Look at me.
Moraine defeats the first wave of Trollocs, but a dagger strikes her. More arrive. Lon removes the dagger, and Moraine, with her last strength, channels the one power, unleashing a powerful storm, wiping out the remaining Trollocs before collapsing. The next morning, Rand and his injured father Tam ride into the village on their horse. Rand carries his father's sword. The village lies in ruins. Marin spots them and tells Egwene, who runs to Rand with news. Nynaeve is gone. They gently set Tam down. Matt arrives with his sisters, shocking his mother.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Perrin emerges from the forge, carrying Layla's lifeless body, heartbroken. Egwene quickly finds Moiraine, who, despite her exhaustion, heals Tam. Immediately after, Rand confronts Moiraine, accusing her of causing the Trolloc attack. Moiraine calmly explains that the Trollocs were after one of them, as one is the dragon reborn, and that's why they're being hunted. She shares a little about the Wheel of Time. Lan spots more Trollocs descending from the mountains and wonders how they arrived so quickly. Moiraine insists they must leave immediately to protect the village,
But you can't leave.
You're coming with me.
suggesting the only safe option is to head for the White Tower. Without wasting time, all 6 mount their horses and ride out of the village, hoping to lead the Trollocs away from attacking the village.
No endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time.
In a White Cloak camp, surrounded by tents, a boy brings a covered plate to Aemon Valda, congratulating him for his victory. Meanwhile, Valda watches as a yellow Aes Sedai is burned alive after having her hands severed. The White Cloaks view Aes Sedai with deep hatred, believing that no one should wield the One Power, considering it unnatural for humans to possess such abilities. He adds her ring to his collection. The group rides hard, hoofs pounding against the dirt, as the Trollocs pursue them relentlessly. They reach a shallow river, crossing without slowing, but the creatures don't hesitate to follow. Pushing through the night, they arrive at Terran Ferry, rousing Master Hightower from his home and demanding passage.
We need to cross the Taryn.
He hesitates, mentioning his son's help, but Lan presses coins into his palm while Moiraine promises more upon reaching the far bank. As they cross, the Trollocs reach the river's edge. One is shoved into the water, thrashing before vanishing beneath the surface. A Fade steps forward, its inhuman screech piercing the night. On the far shore, they unload quickly. Moiraine explains that Fates can command Trollocs to do many things, but not cross deep waters. Master Hightower pleads to return, but Lan severs the ferry's rope, sending it adrift. Moiraine channels, sinking the ferry. Master Hightower leaps in, desperate to save it, but vanishes beneath the water. The others watch, troubled by the cost of their escape. The next morning, the group continues their journey. Lan returns from scouting and reports they've lost the Trollocs. They find a place to rest, but Moiraine warns that worse creatures than Trollocs roam the world. As they rest, Matt, Egwene, Rand, and Perrin discuss Nynaeve and talk about Moraine's intentions.
When we left, they did follow us.
They wonder what she'll do if anyone steps out of line.
What you've heard about the dragon.
Moiraine joins them, urging everyone to sleep as they will leave at first light. That night, Rand lies awake, pretending to sleep as Moiraine approaches. He watches as she gently wakes Egwene, leading her away. Egwene, wary, asks if Moiraine plans to kill them, but Moiraine calmly explains the 3 oaths,
To speak no word that is not true.
swearing Aes Sedai cannot lie or kill without reason. They talk about the wisdom's gift of listening to the wind. Moiraine reveals it is actually the One Power.
Look at the stone.
She helps Egwene channel a spark, proving she will use magic one day, whether she wishes to or not.
That was yours.
Later, Egwene returns and lies beside Rand, who has distanced himself. When he stirs, he tells her he wants to be alone. She leaves. By the fire, Perrin checks his wounded leg. Egwene sits beside him and he wraps his cloak around her. He asks if they'll ever go home. She quietly says they won't.
No.
Rand dreams of something choking him. He reaches into his mouth and pulls out a dead bat. Nearby, a shadowy figure stands, eyes glowing like embers. He wakes with a start. Morning light reveals dead bats scattered around the camp. Egwene sees them too.
Did you put this in our dreams?
Rand, suspicious, accuses Moiraine, but before she can answer, Lan steps forward, ready to defend her. Moiraine asks Matt and Perrin if they dreamed it too. They exchange uneasy glances and remain silent, confirming her suspicion. She warns them that dreams have power and insists they tell her if it happens again. Frustrated, Rand challenges Moraine's intentions, then turns on Egwene, demanding to know what promises she made.
Even with you being the stubborn bastard.
Egwene, unimpressed, calls him childish, reminding him that Moraine's magic is the only reason they are still alive. Later, Lan returns with news. White Cloaks are ahead. Moiraine removes her ring and hands it to Lan,
You're under my care.
instructing the group on how to answer any questions. The White Cloaks' leader, Bornhald, questions Moiraine about their journey.
Yes, sir.
She claims they are heading to Whitebridge to see her sister. Bornhald seems ready to let them go, but Aemon Valda steps forward. He rattles a chain of rings and demands a closer look. Valda questions Lan's origins and the White Cloaks search their horses. Then Valda presses on Moraine's injury, making her gasp.
Not healing well.
She describes an attack by a monster.
No, west of here, near the mountains of mist.
Bornhold recognizes it as a Trolloc wound.
What was the name of the town where you came from?
Satisfied for now, Bornhold suggests she find an Aes Sedai for healing. Valda promises to remember their faces when they meet again. The group quickly mounts and rides on. Egwene moves beside Moraine, confused about her words to the White Cloaks. Moraine explains that Aes Sedai never lie, only speak carefully.
We will always tell the truth.
As they ride, Mat hums a tune, then sings Weep for Manetheren. The others join, unaware of its meaning.
Wait for...
Moraine listens, then reveals the truth.
During the Trolloc Wars, the army of...
Manetheren, once a proud kingdom, stood defiant against the Shadow. They waited for aid that never arrived. In the end, men, women, and children took up arms, fighting bravely,
And on the 10th day they knew.
but the relentless Trollocs overwhelmed them and Manetheren fell.
Weep for what is lost forever. You'll need it in the days to come.
They stopped to rest. Rand and Egwene gather wood for the fire.
And not hate me.
She hopes he'll look at her without resentment.
I'm not going to be Nynaeve's apprentice.
He meets her gaze, his voice steady. No matter what happens, he could never hate her. Meanwhile, Perrin crouches by the creek, filling water bottles as distant wolves howl. He sits, inspecting his wounded leg. A rustling sound makes him stand. Wolves surround him. One steps forward, licks his wound, then, without warning, they all turn and vanish into the trees. Night settles, and Egwene worries about Moraine. Lan says she needs rest and urges everyone to sleep. A sudden noise wakes Egwene. She spots a fade on a ridge. Its screech piercing the night. Lan gives the order they have to leave. Trollocs surge behind them.
What's happening?
Their horses suddenly stop, refusing to go further. Before them looms the ruins of Shadar Logoth, its shadow stretching across the land. Even the Trollocs halt, keeping their distance. Lan doesn't hesitate. He tells them to move. With no other choice, they enter the city's eerie silence, knowing the Trollocs won't dare follow inside. Perrin notices the eerie silence. No birds, no bugs, nothing alive. They settle inside a crumbling building, uneasy. Lan explains Shadar Logoth's dark past.
It means shadows waiting.
Shadows waiting, he calls it, a place poisoned by an ancient evil named Mashadar. Its presence lingers, unseen but felt. He warns them, touch nothing, eat only what they brought.
Touch nothing.
This city was once the most powerful and richest city during the Trolloc Wars. It sealed itself behind massive walls with no gates, abandoning the world in its darkest hour. Manetheren fell waiting for aid from this city that never came. When the war ended, survivors sought refuge there, but no one answered their desperate knocks. Forced to break through the walls, they found the city empty, silent and lifeless. Rumors say evil consumed it from within. Since then it's been abandoned, feared even by the Trollocs.
Defend myself.
Matt sits beside Perrin in the building and hands him a dagger that Layla, Perrin's late wife, had made for him. Matt recalls how Layla used to say she only made tools, not weapons. Perrin, in turn, reassures Matt that his sisters will be fine.
My parents will be over at yours.
Matt wakes to a faint whistling outside. Curious, he steps out and spots a shadow slipping into a nearby building. He follows, finding a dusty room where light falls on an ornate box. Brushing away debris, he opens it, revealing a dagger with a ruby. As he examines it, the horses outside shriek. Egwene and Perrin rush out to see a black shadow creeping across the ground, swallowing a horse whole.
Where are we?
Panic sets in as 3 of their horses bolt into the night, vanishing into the cursed city. A dark shadow creeps through the streets, separating the 4 and forcing them to flee.
Hoist me up. Hurry!
Matt and Rand narrowly escape through a hidden exit,
Now!
clinging to a fallen tree as the river sweeps them away. Egwene and Perrin, trapped atop the city walls, have no choice but to leap into the water below. Meanwhile, Lan lifts the weakened Moraine onto a horse and guides their last mount beyond Shadar Logoth's cursed borders. Scattered in different directions, the group vanishes into the night, each struggling to survive the terror behind them. Lan tends to Moraine when Nynaeve appears, blade at his throat, demanding her friends.
If you don't take me to them right now.
Previously, amid the chaos in 2 Rivers, Nynaeve was dragged by her braid but freed when her captor turns on a wounded Trolloc, devouring it. She raced through the woods toward the village shrine, the Trolloc close behind. Reaching the sacred pool, she slipped into the water. The Trolloc follows, searching for her. Silent beneath the surface, she waits. When it steps closer, she bursts from the water, seizing its sword and driving the blade deep. The creature collapses lifeless. Breathing heavily, Nynaeve pulls herself from the pool, gripping the Trolloc weapon.
Where are my friends?
That's when she tracked down Lon and Moiraine, demanding answers about her friends. Accusing Moiraine of abandoning them, she faced Lan's warning. The darkness was closing in. He urged her to heal Moiraine. Refusing, she attacked Lon, but he swiftly disarmed and knocked her unconscious. Rand and Mat climb a rocky mountain, calling for Egwene and Perrin.
We're gonna find them.
Mat warns him to stop before danger finds them. Mat wants to return home, but Rand reminds him that without their friends, the two rivers wouldn't be the same.
We won't be home without them.
They agree to keep moving toward the White Tower. Perrin and Egwene push through the wind, wolves howling nearby. Egwene fears they're being followed. Finding shelter in a hollow, they try to start a fire. Perrin struggles, but Egwene attempts to channel and the fire sparks to life, leaving them unsure who truly lit it.
Was that me or you?
Perrin jokes that if Egwene used the one power, she should channel food and water too.
You think they're alright?
They worry about their friends. Egwene believes Rand will return home, but Perrin knows he'll follow her instead. Nynaeve is silenced and restrained against a tree. Lon focuses on Moiraine, but her condition worsens. Finally, he offers Nynaeve some water. She persuades him to release her, insisting she can help.
She's gonna die without treatment.
Gathering herbs, she prepares a poultice. Lon asks how she tracked him from the two rivers, but she refuses to answer.
Alright, I'm ready.
Back at Moraine's side, she warns Lon that his bond with Moiraine may cause him unbearable pain.
So get ready.
Without hesitation, she applies the poultice, her hands steady, determined to save the woman she distrusts. Lon watches, torn between hope and fear.
Now we give it time.
Meanwhile, Perrin is lost in a nightmare. Layla is gone.
Layla?
He follows the forge's glow and finds her lifeless body, a wolf tearing into her. Her pale eyes open, whispering something eerie. He turns and the Dark One is right there. Jolting awake, he realizes they are being chased by wolves. He and Egwene take off, sprinting through the trees. The wolves halt at the tree line, but Perrin and Egwene keep running. On the other side, Rand and Mat climb the rocky mountain, the cold biting at their skin.
Let's at least start going downhill.
As they reach the peak, they spot a canyon below with a town, Breen Spring. Their arrival is met with an eerie sight, a lifeless man in a cage. Mat's eyes catch the glint of a crystal resting on the corpse. Rand and Mat make their way through the bustling town, eventually finding a tavern. Inside, the owner, Dana, welcomes them. Rand asks if any strangers have arrived, but she mentions only the Gleeman. As they settle in, Tom takes the stage, strumming his guitar and singing a sorrowful tune.
That he cried for.
A hooded man brushes past Rand and Mat before Tom collides with him. Tom asks for a tribute for the Gleeman, but Mat refuses. Dana demands payment for the food. Mat, realizing his money is missing, watches as Tom pulls out his pouch, pays, and warns them about trust. Meanwhile, Egwene and Perrin travel across the vast open wilderness, with wolves trailing them in the distance. Spotting wagon tracks and signs of recent travelers, they decide to follow the path east toward the White Tower.
We've headed east towards the White Tower.
Egwene wonders if the wolves led them there, but when they look back, the wolves have vanished. Rand and Mat ask Dana about a room for the night,
We're looking for somewhere cheap.
and she offers one in exchange for chopping wood. After she leaves, Mat refuses, leading to a heated argument. He challenges the entire journey to the White Tower, calling it pointless, and scoffs at the Dragon Reborn prophecy.
Well, one of us being the Dragon Reborn.
Frustrated, he storms back into the tavern and asks Dana for another way to earn his stay. She hands him a tray and puts him to work serving drinks. As they chat, Mat lies about his past,
Of us are from Baerlon.
claiming he's from Baerlon and looking for a way back, alone. Dana only smiles. Elsewhere, Nynaeve examines Moraine's wound but doesn't recognize the poison. With no other choice, Lon mounts his horse and rides for help. A thick fog looms ahead of Egwene and Perrin. Perrin offers to go first, but Egwene refuses, reminding him she doesn't need protection and that Layla's death wasn't his fault. They step forward together. Suddenly, figures emerge from the mist, flanked by leashed hounds.
Do you know the song?
The strangers ask if they know the song. Egwene and Perrin hesitate, but one of them quietly gives the right response.
We do not know the song.
The leaders, Isla and Rain, introduce themselves and guide them to a camp, offering food and warmth.
Who are you?
As they settle in, Egwene asks who they are. With gentle smiles, they reveal they are the Tuathan and their community is open to anyone who wishes to join. Dana steps outside, surprised to see Rand has chopped more than enough wood.
That's plenty for now.
She grins, telling him they've earned a room with a proper roof. With a playful glint, she suggests he and Mat might be a couple. Rand laughs, denying it, joking that if he were into men, he'd have chosen someone better than Matt.
I didn't know.
Lon reaches a high ridge, overlooking below, viewing tents in a valley. He turns his horse and rushes back. Asking if Moraine can ride, Nynaeve nods, saying the poultice will hold for a few more hours. Matt approaches the caged corpse, eyes fixed on the crystal. Tom steps up, drawing a dagger, questioning Matt's intent.
Before you could lay a finger on me.
Matt grips his ruby-hilted blade in response. Ignoring him, Tom cuts the body down, muttering about town braggarts boasting of killing an ale. Tom remarks that it's rare to see redheads outside of the ale waste. He explains that ale are only dangerous when veiled, and this one wasn't. Matt admits he's after the dead man's valuables. Tom turns away, letting Matt do as he pleases. Matt pockets the crystal and a carved dog statue before joining Tom in burying the ale.
The least you can do is bury them.
Excuse me?
Dana and Rand talk in his room. She mentions Matt claimed to be from Baerlon and heading back. Rand says the same, though he's going east.
Maybe even a Trolloc.
Dana dreams of leaving, seeing Ter, Camelin, or even a Trolloc. Rand admits he's lost. She leans in, he pulls away. Dana locks the door and smirks,
Was it the hair?
guessing it was her hair reminding him of Egwene. Rand reaches for his sword, but she's quicker. Holding him at bay, she reveals she needs Matt too.
You know, I didn't think you'd be this sweet.
Meanwhile, Tom and Matt finish burying the warrior, exchanging names before Matt asks for his money. Tom checks, but Matt already has it.
Don't let me find you hanging in a cage.
With a nod, Tom heads back toward town, leaving Matt watching after him. Rand slams the door repeatedly, shaking the wall. On the final hit, it crashes open and he flees. Matt joins him, with Dana close behind, holding Rand's sword. She traps them,
Who are you?
revealing she's a dark friend and proud to lead the Dragon Reborn to the Dark One.
The dragon has a chance to change all that.
She explains that dark friends serve the Dark One's breaking of the wheel. Just as she mentions a fade, a dagger strikes her throat, killing her instantly. From the shadows, Tom appears, retrieving his dagger. He offers to lead them east, unless they prefer to stay and wait for the fade. Rand and Matt quickly agree to join him, eager to leave. Lon, carrying Moraine, rides down a canyon path with Nynaeve leading Moraine's horse. He wakes Moraine, and Nynaeve spots 3 mounted Aes Sedai on the ledges, observing them. Liandrin approaches, leading 2 warders in a wheeled cage with a man inside. She mentions they've captured someone claiming to be the Dragon Reborn. Behind the cage, 2 Aes Sedai sit, while Logain stares at them defiantly. Before his capture, Logain attacked Jada Palace in Johanna. Soldiers guarded the wounded king, but Logain's shield effortlessly blocked their desperate spears. The wounded king reaches a well on the parapet, with Logain close behind.
You will never wear the silver crown.
The king declares he'll never wear the crown, but Logain dismisses it. He claims to be the Dragon Reborn, unfazed by the Aes Sedai's pursuit. A whisper urges him to kill, but he resists. The king lunges with a dagger, but Logain's weave halts the blade midair, ignoring the whispers warning him against trust.
Watch your cup.
Logain heals the king's wounded shoulder. He calmly declares that even enemies have a place at his side if they choose.
Anyone at my side.
The shadows hiss their doubts, but he stands firm.
But I plan to bind it.
From a hillside, Nynaeve watches the Aes Sedai camp, their colored cords marking their ranks. Lon adjusts to the unfamiliar surroundings while Moraine receives healing from Kareen. Weakened after the effort, Kareen admits the strain came from capturing the false Dragon Reborn. Moraine, surprised, realizes the toll their battle had taken.
You've held back armies.
Kareen leads Moraine to the cave where Logain sits caged, refusing to speak to anyone.
Even then we have to work in pairs.
Only she, Alana, and Liandrin are strong enough to shield him, always working in pairs. Liandrin recounts how they captured him while he slept, using channeling to summon lightning and scatter his army.
Let me share the burden.
Moraine offers to share the burden of shielding the false dragon. Kareen reminds the others that the Amerlin seat has ordered them to bring him to the White Tower for trial. Outside, Lon spars with Stepan. Stepan remarks that the Amerlin seat is still displeased with Moraine, but Lon brushes it off. Noticing Kareen, Stepan steps away to speak with her.
I have nothing but respect.
Stepan, Kareen's warder, talks with her about Moraine, noting how secretive she is. Kareen laughs, saying Lon is no different. They joke about their silent dinners. Stepan mentions Liandrin's rumors, but Kareen trusts she'll obey the Amerlin's order to bring Logain to trial. Egwene and Perrin agree to leave together if needed, trusting only each other. Aram approaches, inviting them to travel east to Tar Valon with the Tuatha.
You're bandits, you're not very good ones.
He questions their claim of being from Whitebridge. As pots clang, signaling departure, Egwene and Perrin decide to follow the caravan. Tom rides ahead toward a distant farm, while Matt struggles with his horse. Rand questions Tom's motives, and Matt recalls Dana's words about 5 potential dragons, wondering who the 5th might be.
Me, you, Perrin, Egwene.
Speaking of the potential dragons, the false one is already in the cage, shield guarded by Moiraine and Alanna. Moiraine struggles to describe how it feels, while Alanna compares it to holding a cat in water. Moiraine suspects Kareen is using Alanna to gather information. Alanna, once considering the blue Aja, chose green, never expecting to witness the last battle. She marvels at Loghain's strength, unlike any false dragon before. She fears the end of the age is near and worries that if the dragon reborn is needed, the red Aja might gentle him before that time comes.
But what if the dragon is supposed to be?
Elsewhere, Liandrin approaches Nynaeve, mispronouncing her name.
It's Nynaeve, isn't it?
Nynaeve ignores it, asking her more about Moiraine.
Answer, maybe I'll give you what you want.
Tom, Matt, and Rand quietly scout a farm, hoping to find shelter for the night. Master Grinwell appears, bow drawn, but Rand notices his poor grip and doubts he'll shoot.
If you did, you draw that bow with your fingertips.
When he calls his wife, she and their son already have bows aimed.
Plenty of space in the barn.
Liandrin tells Nynaeve about the Red Aja's duty to stop misuse of the One Power.
We protect the world from people who would...
Lan arrives, Liandrin leaves, inviting Nynaeve to visit the Red Aja tent anytime. Nynaeve calls Liandrin a snake and questions if the White Tower is full of such women. Lan says she'll see for herself, then invites her to the warder's fire. Meanwhile, Isla tells Perrin and Egwene about the Tuatha and their way of the leaf,
Years we forswear violence.
rejecting violence for generations. They flee when possible and endure when not. She asks Perrin if using an axe has made his life better or worse.
Since you picked up that axe,
Perrin recalls what the axe did to his wife Layla. While Matt and Rand clean the stalls, Tom enjoys his tea.
Stay fresh before a performance.
Matt, exhausted, leans on a trough, vomiting. Dark filth from Shadar Logoth stains his mouth and the ground. A young girl appears, reminding Matt of his sisters. She offers them bread and gives Matt a doll named Birgit, saying she protects her at night and longs to see the world. Matt thanks her, touched by the gesture.
And you and another lad the same way.
As they rest, Tom shares the story of his nephew, Owen. Once a mischievous boy, Owen changed suddenly, growing distant and troubled. No one understood why until he moved a rock without touching it, proof he could channel. Tom sees the same signs in Matt.
Aes Sedai found him.
While Tom was away, the Red Aja found Owen and gentled him. Stripped of his power, he lost all hope and took his own life.
A few weeks after those women left.
Tom warns Rand, they must keep Matt far from the Red Aja.
We have to keep Matt away from those women.
Moiraine and Kareen focus on keeping Loghain shielded while, around the campfire,
It was the end of Alan Mandragoran.
Stepan tells a story about Lon, calling him Alon Mandragoran. He asks Nynaeve how she ended up with him and she explains she tracked him. She finds warders more fun than expected, though they still serve Aes Sedai. Stepan explains their deep bond, revealing that Aes Sedai means servants of all.
What does that make you?
Nynaeve asks what that makes the warders and Lon answers simply, proud. Alanna approaches the fire and Ivan and Maxim stand to join her. Nynaeve asks about them but Stepan just chuckles.
Tired myself.
Lon, feeling tired, quietly leaves the fire. Lon steps into Moraine's tent, commenting that Loghain is too old. Moiraine wonders if the Dark One knows who the Dragon Reborn is.
Dark One isn't after Loghain.
Frustrated over losing Rand, Matt, Egwene, and Perrin, she holds Lan's hand.
You always get emotional when I drink.
He teases her about getting emotional after his drink. Drummers play as Egwene joins the Tinker's dance. Perrin watches before leaving. Egwene dances with Aram, who tells her about a lost song from the Last Age. He believes its return will bring peace, but Egwene wonders if they've already found it. Perrin helps on fixing a wagon axle, feeling a quiet peace in the task. Isla notices and comments on it. He spots Sarai, a tinker with scars on her face, and remarks that not all Tuathan look peaceful. Isla explains that Sarai was once a killer who gave up violence. She then speaks of the way of the leaf, how peace can only come when everyone stops violence. Though it will take time, Isla believes changing even two minds will improve the world.
I had a daughter.
She shares the story of her daughter's death, explaining her hope for a better future.
I couldn't protect my girl in this turn of the wheel.
Meanwhile, Egwene and Aram sit apart from the crowd. Aram shares that when Tuathan turned 20,
we leave the wagons when we turn 20.
They leave to decide if they want to stay.
How many come home?
Some farm, sail, or fight, but most return.
Leaf doesn't fight the wind.
Rand gets a nightmare, seeing Perrin hammering a body and Matt with blood-covered hands. Egwene calls out, but the Dark One grabs her. Rand jolts awake, with Tom nearby. Matt is gone, but the family that hosted them has been killed. Matt points at the fade in the shadows, leading to a fight. Rand and Matt flee outside, leaving Tom behind. Matt is shaken by the sight of the young girl's body as they flee. At the Aes Sedai camp, Nynaeve notices Lon walking away and decides to follow.
Did you plan to talk to me?
Meanwhile, in the cave, Karine and Liandrin discuss Loghain's fate. Liandrin doubts they can keep him shielded on the long journey to the White Tower and hints at letting him escape to be gentled. Karine, however, insists that the White Tower's strength lies in its laws, which must apply equally to everyone, including Aes Sedai. Lon walked away from camp to offer a prayer, and Nynaeve quietly followed. He explained he had just completed a Malkiri ritual, 7 times for the 7 towers. Nynaeve then knelt and said her own prayer in Old Tongue. Surprised, Lon asked about it. Nynaeve explained her parents used those words to comfort her during an attack. She stopped saying them when she became wisdom.
We'll never be alone.
Lon shared the meaning, and Nynaeve was taken aback. Suddenly, distant shouting interrupted them. Karine's words flare. She tells Liandrin it means Loghain's army is attacking camp.
Loghain's army, they're here.
The warders ready for battle. Arrows rain down, but Alanna holds them in the air, shielding all. Inside, Loghain shatters the shield, throwing Aes Sedai back.
Let's go!
Alanna strikes back as the Gildan King's army charges. The warders shield the Aes Sedai, who weave deep in the woods as the battle ensues. In the cave, Loghain melts his cage. Moraine steps forward, questioning his claim as the dragon reborn.
I can hear them when I channel.
He insists past lives guide him, teaching him to be better. Moraine dismisses it as madness, not destiny.
What do you want?
As they talk, Karine and Liandrin recover. Karine hurls Loghain backward, regaining control of the fight. They shield Loghain, but he strikes back. Karine blocks, killing her. Grief fuels Liandrin's fury, and Stepan feels Karine's death on the other side. The battle rages, and Stepan barely blocks an attack in time. Alanna orders the others to confront Loghain while she and the Aes Sedai hold the army, unleashing deadly weaves that cut down many, including Gildan's king. Liandrin and Moraine struggle to shield Loghain as Stepan attacks in rage, but Loghain turns his axes into deadly shrapnel, injuring everyone but Nynaeve survives. Lon is losing blood fast from a neck wound. Nynaeve rushes to his side, desperate, and suddenly releases a surge of power, healing everyone. A brilliant sphere of energy flares, unlike anything seen before.
Like a radiant sun.
Loghain halts, stunned by her strength. The Aes Sedai seize the moment, linking through Liandrin, who strips Loghain of his power, gentling him in an instant. Liandrin breaks Aes Sedai rules for the greater good. Everyone is healed thanks to Nynaeve, except for Karine, who had died earlier. The next morning, the fallen from both sides are laid to rest in 2 wide circles on an open field. Lon gently places the King of Gildan in his grave, his helmet beside him. Stepan carries Karine with care, placing her down before adding her ring to a chain around his neck. Moraine sets a small candle on Karine's body. No words are spoken. They mourn in silence, grief heavy in the air. A month later, the group heads for Tar Valon. Loghain rides in silence, bound in chains. Stepan leads Karine's riderless horse, boots turned backward in the stirrups. Moraine wonders if Nynaeve is ready, but Lon says he's more worried about Stepan.
He'll deliver her ring to the tower.
Although Moraine is a little worried about returning to the White Tower. Rand and Matt walk toward Tar Valon. A boy runs close. Matt snaps, scaring him off. They pass a guiding stone, and Rand spots a distant mountain that feels familiar. He climbs a small hill with Matt, where they also see Tar Valon and the White Tower.
Tar Valon.
As they step into the bustling city, Rand samples some food and enjoys it, while Matt refuses, saying he isn't hungry. They make their way to the Light's Blessing, the inn Tom recommended. Rand is shocked by the high price of a room, but they take it. Matt collapses onto the bed without a word. Rand reminds him that the Fade, not him, was responsible for the Grinwell's fate.
It was the Fade.
Moraine, Lon, and Nynaeve entered the warder's quarters in the White Tower. Moraine began discussing the Emerlin seat, but Nynaeve quickly cut in, asking where the other 2 rivers folk were. Moraine warned her about the politics of the tower, but Nynaeve shot back, suggesting maybe the Aes Sedai should fear her instead.
If I'm as powerful as you say I am.
Moraine and Lon exchanged a look before Lon quietly left. Moraine then explained to Nynaeve that fear was natural now.
How do you fit into the world?
Having touched the true source, Nynaeve had felt its vastness and understood her power, a new world just as it had been for Moraine long ago. The Tuatha near Tar Valon, their dogs making some violence. Perrin wonders why they allow this, and Aram explains that the Way of the Leaf accepts
Violence is in us all.
rather than denies violence within. Egwene joins the group, pointing out the White Tower in the distance.
The White Tower.
The caravan halts as White Cloaks block their path. Aemon Valda questions them about the false dragon, then orders his men to bring Perrin and Egwene.
You can't have them.
The Tuatha link arms to stop them, but the White Cloaks retaliate with force, beating them back. Aram guides Perrin and Egwene away, but White Cloak horsemen knock him out and surround them, trapping them. In the library, Rand grabs the Caryathon Prophecies book, but a humanoid giant named Loyal rises and Rand draws his sword. Loyal explains how humans tend to chase him, recalling how a group followed him through town. He reveals that he's an Ogier and Rand realizes it. They introduce themselves with Loyal excited to meet someone from the Ale, but Rand denies it. Rand then picks up a book, The Travels of Jane Farstrider, mentioning how Egwene used to read it. Hearing bells, Loyal tells him it's the Aes Sedai with the false dragon.
I'll see you out there.
Rand sees Matt and hurries to catch up. Rand walks through the street, searching for Matt, and spots him on a balcony. He joins him and they watch the parade. People gasp as they see the riderless horse led by Steppen. Logain is caged on the wagon. He slumps, then locks eyes with Matt, laughing maniacally. Rand calls, but Matt stays focused on Logain. After Logain's parade passes, Rand and Matt make a pact.
I won't be like that.
If one of them starts to channel, the other will stop them, ensuring they don't end up like Logain in the cage.
You do the same for me?
Steppen, with Ivan and Maxim's help, dons his ceremonial outfit for Kareen's ring. As they prepare, Steppen reflects on his past.
That's when I met Karine.
He had always sought fights until he met Kareen, who laughed and bought him a drink.
When she needed a warder, she was already...
Their friendship grew, and when it was time for her to choose a warder, she chose him.
White Tower gave me the first real family I ever had.
Lon mentions Alana's offer to bond him, but Steppen advises Lon to wait until he experiences something similar. The trio escorts Steppen out, walking through the warder's hall, where other warders stand in silent tribute. Steppen steps into the open area high in the White Tower, walking toward the molten furnace. He kisses Kareen's ring and watches it disappear into the fire, melting away completely. In her chambers, Lon enters and kneels beside Moraine. They share a quiet, wordless moment. Inside a white cloak tent, several men work on Egwene, undoing her braid and combing her hair. They strip her of her clothes and dress her in a white robe. Meanwhile, Aemon Valda settles in another tent, calmly eating his meal. At his command, Egwene is seated and bound to a chair.
Bring him in.
Soon, Perrin is brought in, gagged and bound before being strapped to a device.
We're nothing.
Valda remarks that Egwene isn't who he expected, noting she hasn't channeled yet.
Motions or words is just a crap.
He mentions an Aes Sedai once claimed the hand gestures for channeling were unnecessary, but Egwene insists she cannot channel.
I can't channel.
Valda, accepting she's not Aes Sedai, wonders why the light brought them together twice, suggesting she's capable of touching the one power. As Valda begins torturing Perrin, wolves howl in the distance and Perrin's eyes glow. Valda, believing the one power is from the Dark One, gives Egwene a choice: channel and die or stay silent and let Perrin die.
Decide which one of you it will be.
He leaves them to decide. Steppen knocks on Nynaeve's door, holding a half bottle of wine.
For sleeping.
He asks for more sleeping tea, admitting that the pain of losing Kareen is all he has left. Nynaeve, understanding his grief, tells him that the pain will never truly fade.
I promise you, the pain will never go away.
She gives him the tea and watches as he leaves, still carrying his sorrow. Nynaeve ventures outside her room and ends up in the warder's hall. Liandrin finds her and talks about how the Red Aja usually doesn't bond warders.
Because you hate men.
She mentions how men in power are often unkind to strong women. Liandrin then points her toward the library and the gardens.
To the library.
Loyal enters Rand's room, mentioning about finding his friend. Nynaeve storms in, rushing to embrace Matt. Loyal watches as she tries to help, but Matt angrily refuses her touch.
Don't touch me!
Rand and Nynaeve sit in the hallway talking quietly. Rand admits that he believes Matt can channel, but he doesn't trust Moraine.
We saw what the Aes Sedai did to the False Dragon.
Nynaeve disagrees,
We don't need the Aes Sedai.
confident they can manage without the Aes Sedai, waiting for Perrin and Egwene. Rand sighs, missing Egwene after a month. Nynaeve reassures him, telling a story about Egwene's childhood battle with breakbone fever. Despite the odds, Egwene fought through and survived, proving she's unbreakable.
She's unbreakable.
Speaking of Egwene, she struggles to channel but fails.
Egwene, stop.
Perrin, wanting to explain why he deserves to die instead of Egwene, reveals the truth about Layla.
My own hands.
Valda enters and demands an answer.
Have we reached a decision?
When neither speaks, he resumes slicing Perrin. Wolves howl nearby. Focused,
Egwene, no!
Egwene calms herself and manages to channel a fireball, striking Valda. She burns Perrin's bindings and he breaks free, his eyes glowing. Valda is shocked and stabbed in the back by Egwene, and chaos erupts. Grabbing his rings, they flee, but outside, wolves attack the White Cloaks. Just as they're escaping, a wolf blocks their path but later lets them go.
Where is Nynaeve?
In the White Tower, Moiraine and Liandrin walk down a hall. They discuss Nynaeve's future, wondering which Aegis she'll choose and whether she'll align with the right side of the Aes Sedai.
We need mentoring.
And you think she'll choose red?
In his room, Stepan sets up a shrine with 8 figurines from his mother, offering prayers to protect against the Forsaken, especially Ishamael. Lan explains their dark bargain and promises to stay with Stepan through the night. In Moraine's room, Alanna speaks about offering Stepan a chance to bond with her, noting it's like he's consumed by Kareen's death. Moiraine hints at releasing Lan but is reassured by Alanna. The Emerlin, returning from Caemlyn, has summoned them to answer for Logain. Alanna mentions Suan Sancha's search for someone to blame and Liandrin's growing power.
One day you'll have to trust someone with your secret.
Moiraine, uninterested in becoming a Merlin, quietly studies a plaque on the wall after Alanna leaves. Stepan pours tea for Lan, and they talk about Alanna's offer to bond with Stepan.
Tell me about the wisdom.
The conversation shifts to Nynaeve, and after some time, Lan falls asleep, the empty cup still in his hand. Waking up in the morning, Lan notices Stepan is gone. He spots an empty envelope from Nynaeve, which means he gave the sleeping drag to Lan. Lan sees that a dagger is missing from its display. Panicking, Lan rushes out of the room and finds Stepan in a hallway, lifeless from a self-inflicted stab wound with the missing dagger. In a room filled with warders, all dressed in white, Alanna, Moiraine, and Nynaeve stand in silence. Stepan's body lies on a table, also in white, as one warder chants. The lead warder calls on Lan to relieve the grief of the warders. Kneeling, Lan places his left hand on Stepan. As the others pound their chests, Lan looks at Moiraine and joins in, crying out in grief. Nynaeve, clearly uncomfortable, struggles to hold back tears. Years ago, in a quiet village, Berdine wakes his daughter, Swan, telling her it's time to catch fish.
Are the fish stirring, Papa?
They set out on their boat, anchoring it before preparing the nets. In the distance, the city of Tyr can be seen. Berdine's left hand is missing, a silent reminder of past struggles. Swan helps untangle the nets, using her ability to channel, while Berdine nervously looks around, reminding her to keep her gift hidden. After a successful catch, they return home, only to find their hut burned down. Berdine, with a heavy heart, quickly packs Swan's things and urges her to go to the White Tower for safety.
Come with me, Papa.
Though Swan worries about her father's survival, Berdine reassures her.
You're gonna do great things.
Telling her she will become a great woman one day. With tear-filled eyes, they part ways, knowing the future is uncertain, but Swan's journey has begun. In the Hall of the Sitters, Lean announces the arrival of the Emerlin, Swan Sanche. As she enters, everyone bows and she takes her seat. After a nod to Lean, Swan commands that Logain be brought in.
Bring the false dragon.
The tower guards bring him forward, his chains rattling, and make him kneel before her. Swan orders the chains to be removed, as Logain no longer poses a threat after being gentled.
Do you know why you're here?
She asks him if he understands why he's there.
That you are weak.
Logain, defiant, replies that the farther you get from the White Tower, the more people believe the Aes Sedai are weak. He boasts of how he faced 9 Aes Sedai and killed 1. Swan listens carefully, seeing through his words.
If it's the release of death you seek.
She calmly tells him that she won't offer him a death sentence. Instead, he'll be made an example to other false dragons, studied until madness takes him.
I believe.
As the guards lead him out, Logain pleads desperately for death. Swan calls Liandrin, Alanna, and Moiraine to approach and clears the room of non-sitters.
Man deserved a fair trial before me.
She tells them Logain deserved a fair trial, but Liandrin argues they had no choice.
But you didn't see what he did to her.
Alanna asks for clemency, supporting Liandrin's decision. Moiraine protests, claiming that if Logain hadn't been gentled,
All of our sisters would have been killed.
the Aes Sedai would have died. Swan reminds them that tower laws protect everyone.
I will think on your penance.
She announces that Liandrin should be punished as she was in charge when Kareen fell.
with the most powerful channeler.
Leandrin accuses Moraine of hiding the truth about a powerful channeler. Moraine defends herself, but she again accuses Moraine of not doing her job as a member of the Blue Aja, which is to gather information and discover danger. Megan steps in, saying it's blue business.
This is blue business, Mother.
Leandrin suggests that Megan's comments imply Swan is hesitant to question Moraine because of their shared Blue Aja past.
From Tyr to the Two Rivers.
Swan presses Moraine about her travels over the past 2 years and their purpose. Moraine remains silent, unable to say.
I cannot say.
Swan orders her to kneel and repeat her answer, which Moraine does. Calling her Lady Moraine Damodred, Swan sees defiance and commands Moraine to bow her forehead to the floor. Swan concludes the meeting, saying she will announce Moraine's penance the next day. As Moraine and Alana leave,
Apologize to him.
Alana urges her to apologize to the Emerlin.
To thank you for saying what you did.
Leandrin and her followers block their path, warning Moraine of tomorrow's reckoning. Moraine sips tea on the balcony, noticing Nynaeve and Loyal leaving Rand in Matt's room. Lon joins her and they head to the inn. Moraine asks about Matt's condition and Lon confirms it's worse. Basil Gill escorts them to the room.
Do not come up, no matter what you hear.
Moraine tells him to stay downstairs regardless of what happens. Moraine and Lon enter Rand and Matt's room. Rand, expecting Nynaeve, draws his sword in surprise.
Don't be...
Lon quickly steps between them, disarming Rand with ease. With Rand and Lon holding him, she channels the dark force out of Matt and into the dagger. Moraine, drained from the effort, listens as Rand thanks her for saving Matt.
What did you expect me to do?
He mentions seeing darkness around her. She explains that Matt's strength kept the dagger from consuming him. The dagger fed on him too, and she warns him not to touch it again.
Was feeding off the darkness in him.
Nynaeve and Loyal return, and Moraine rebukes Nynaeve for almost getting Matt killed.
For wisdom is the title you claim.
Moraine relaxes in the sauna when Megan enters and sits beside her, sending the attendants away. Megan speaks about Swan losing her political power and the rising chaos. Disappearing ships, Ale near the Spine, Trollocs in the Two Rivers, and a sunk ferry. She suggests Moraine stay in the tower while she investigates the ships.
Time to settle down, Moiraine.
Moraine asks a yellow Aes Sedai about Egwene and Perrin's arrival, then follows her to their room. Perrin rests, healed and asleep. She mentions hearing of their White Cloak capture. Egwene hands over Valda's rings, confident he won't harm Aes Sedai again. Egwene asks about Rand and Matt, and Moraine assures her they're alive.
His eyes.
Egwene shares how Perrin's golden eyes helped him sense the wolves' intentions.
But he wasn't afraid of them.
Moraine warns her to keep it secret, as many in the city would see him as a threat. The sun sets as Moraine stands before a mirror, quietly getting ready. Lon steps in, noticing she has masked their bond, which stops him from feeling her fully and guarding her properly. She gently sends him away for the night, and he promises to stand watch at her door.
Be back before dawn.
Once alone, Moraine walks to a framed painting, weaves a secret passage and steps through. She appears in a small, quiet room where Swan waits. The space is styled like her childhood home.
What were you thinking?
Swan isn't happy about the performance she had to give in the hall, needing to seem impartial. The mood softens as the two share a private, tender moment.
On your knees.
Later they talk about Moraine's search. She explains that 5 possible dragons all came from the same village, and the old tales don't bring much clarity. Swan mentions the Caryathon prophecies, but Moraine doubts them. They're ancient and often retranslated.
You were there when she had the vision of the baby being born.
Even Jatara's vision, which they both witnessed, now feels uncertain. Feeling lost, Moraine suggests telling other Aes Sedai, though it would risk them both being stilled.
When you sentence me, it must be exile.
She asks Swan to exile her publicly, an official punishment that would give her freedom to move, while confusing the Blue Aja who want her kept inside the tower.
I thought we'd have more time.
As Moraine and Lon walk the tower halls, speaking quietly of Rand and Matt, Leandrin steps in, hinting at secrets. Moraine calmly threatens her secret man, reminding her silence is safer.
We both know what they'll do.
Moraine and Lon find Loyal in the tower and quietly ask for his help with something urgent and serious.
Thank you for coming.
Moraine leads Egwene through the quiet halls of the tower toward an important meeting. She explains that while the Emerlin seat has requested her presence, someone else wishes to see her first. Lon steps aside, revealing Nynaeve waiting.
What are you doing here?
The two friends embrace warmly, their relief obvious. Moraine reminds them gently that time is short and Swan is expecting them. Inside the Emerlin's room, Swan welcomes them with a softer tone and tells them they may use her name here. She praises Nynaeve's powerful channeling and thanks Egwene for returning the lost rings.
Paras, why don't you tell us what you want?
Nynaeve, ever direct, asks what Swan wants from them. Swan explains they've been chosen for something far greater than they imagined, and Destiny doesn't ask permission.
So what do we need to do?
High above in the tower, Moraine stands alone in a quiet open space, looking out over the city. Lan approaches, saying it's time to face the Emerlin. She refuses his offer to join her inside, asking him instead to make sure the others are ready. Inside, Swan declares that Moraine is to be exiled from the tower. To make it binding, she must swear on the oath rod to obey the Emerlin's seat and never return unless called.
Swear to obey the judgment.
Moraine agrees and speaks the oath.
To swear to honor and obey.
When she stands to leave, every sitter silently rises and turns their backs to her. Without a word, Moraine walks out, the heavy silence following her as the doors close behind. Moraine rides through the countryside after leaving Tar Valon, making her way to a tall hill where an old waygate stands. She waits, and soon Loyal arrives, bringing Egwene and Perrin.
Moraine Sedai.
Not long after, Rand, Mat, Nynaeve, and Lan join them.
At least I wasn't stupid enough to steal him.
Moraine and Lan send the horses away, knowing they wouldn't survive the journey ahead.
They would not survive though.
Loyal starts to explain the ways, ancient paths lost to time, but Moraine interrupts. There's no time for stories.
The fastest road to the eye of the world.
She tells them the ways are the fastest path to the eye of the world, where the Dark One's prison lies. She speaks of urgency.
Let me speak clearly.
If they don't act now while the Dark One is still weak, the world could fall into darkness. One among them is the Dragon Reborn, and that person is meant to finish what the last dragon began. Egwene asks what would happen to those who aren't the dragon. Moraine pauses before answering, there's no way to know for sure. With that, Moraine approaches the waygate. She weaves the one power, and the massive stone doors open with a hum of ancient energy. One by one they step into the shadowed passage. But as the waygate begins to close, Mat stays behind.
What are you?
On the snowy slopes of Dragon Mount, a warrior named Tigraine fights through labor pains. Separated from her allies and alone, she hides behind a rock, her strength fading. Though exhausted, she defends herself with impressive skill when attackers find her. Wounded and bleeding, she still manages to defeat them. Crawling away, she finds shelter again as labor takes hold. Just as she gathers herself, a new enemy appears before her, raising a heron-marked sword in silence.
You know the darkness in him.
The group from the Two Rivers begs Moraine to reopen the waygate so Mat can follow, but she refuses, saying he made his decision. Without waiting, she and Lan move forward into the ways. Loyal stays just long enough to warn the others not to use the one power, as it could draw Makin Shin. Then he follows Moraine. The rest quietly agree they'll find Mat when this is over, and together they take their next steps forward. Moraine and Lan quietly talk about the risk if Mat turns out to be the Dragon Reborn.
Then I can't let him within 100 leagues.
She makes it clear she wouldn't let him near the Dark One. As they continue through the eerie stillness, Loyal shares tales of how the ways once bloomed with fruit trees and soft, grassy paths. Now the green is gone, and a single misstep off the edge would mean falling endlessly into darkness. Perrin tells the group he sees something up ahead, though no one else can.
There's something up there.
They soon find a guiding stone, but it's been damaged as if someone tried to erase it.
As if someone's tried to destroy.
Loyal believes he can still read it, but he'll need time. Moraine suggests they all rest while he works. Lan quietly warns her that something is behind them. With nothing more to do, the Two Rivers folks slowly drift off to sleep. While everyone sleeps, Lan keeps watch. Egwene wakes to a strange whistle and rouses Rand. She instinctively channels, sending a Trolloc falling into the dark. Loyal insists Trollocs shouldn't be in the ways. Lan realizes how they reached the Two Rivers, and Moraine notes the ruined guiding stone. As they reach the island, Makin Shin attacks, whispering their darkest fears to shake them from their path. Moraine warns them not to listen.
You're nothing.
That's why you killed her, because she died.
Nynaeve then channels a sphere that protects everyone from Makin Shin. This gives Moraine a chance to channel to open the Waygate. Everyone gets out, with Lan grabbing Nynaeve and getting her out. The Waygate closes behind them. Loyal tells them that they are at Faldara.
The fortress city of Faldara.
Moraine says that the Eye of the World is a day's walk beyond the city,
Put it out of your minds.
but they should put out of their minds whatever they heard from Makin Shin wins. The group enters Faldara and is met by Lord Yokota, Uno, and a group of guards.
Daishan.
Yokota gives Lan a respectful welcome, calling him Daishan, and says they are all welcome on behalf of Lord Agelmar. Inside the throne room, Agelmar greets Lan, then questions Moraine's sudden arrival.
And you, Moraine, said I.
Before she can explain, he assumes it's because of his sister's letter to the White Tower. He insists they don't need help, but Moraine calmly explains that the Dark One is using the ways. She urges him to seal the Faldara Waygate. Agelmar agrees and apologizes for his sharp words, offering them full hospitality.
Thank you, my lord.
On the other side, Peyton Fane quietly slips out of the Faldara Waygate. Meanwhile, Lady Amalisa walks Moraine through the halls toward her chambers. Moraine asks if Min is still in the city, hoping to visit her. Amalisa wonders at her interest in the seer.
I need a message delivered to the tower.
Moraine asks her to pass a message to the Red Aja about finding Matt. After, Moraine guides Rand, Egwene, Perrin, and Nynaeve through the busy market streets of Faldara. Perrin spots someone familiar, Peyton Fane maybe, but Nynaeve dismisses it.
Peyton Fane's dead.
Inside a nearby tavern, they settle at a table. Rand and Perrin quietly reflect on the Way of the Leaf, while Nynaeve watches Moraine, curious about her quiet conversation with the bartender, Min. Min asks if the others know what she is, and Moraine says they don't. Min shares what she sees, Perrin with yellow eyes and blood on his chin, Rand cradling a baby, and something powerful around Egwene or Nynaeve.
White flame.
A white flame and golden ring. She says they're all connected, sparks of light fighting back the growing shadow.
Don't look at me like that.
Her vision of Moraine is the clearest, the Emerlin seat in full regalia as her downfall.
We leave tomorrow at sunrise.
Late at night, Moraine and Lan step into a quiet room where the group is gathered. Moraine tells them they leave at dawn. Rand wants to know more about Min, and Moraine explains she hoped Min's visions would reveal the Dragon Reborn, to protect the others, but they didn't.
It's easy to use doubt as a crutch.
She urges them to decide quickly. The group starts to talk about how much they trust Moraine and the things she's told them. The conversation quickly shifts to Matt.
Alright, he left us, Rand.
Egwene says he abandoned them, and Rand sharply fires back, hinting she knows a thing or two about leaving. That stinks. Perrin steps in, saying Rand owes her an apology.
Fighting over her like she's something you can win.
Nynaeve cuts in, telling them to stop fighting over Egwene.
What's so funny?
Rand accuses Perrin of loving her, but Perrin firmly says Layla was the only one he ever loved.
Was my wife.
The air turns tense, and one by one they all leave the room. Moraine feels she's asked too much of Lan,
You have taken nothing.
but he tells her she's given him purpose, something he never had before. As he turns to leave, she softly mentions that she likes Nynaeve,
The wisdom.
just in case Lan's feelings are leaning that way. A quiet smile passes between them before he steps out. Lan walks calmly through the quiet streets of Faldara, fully aware that Nynaeve is trailing him at a distance. Without looking back, he heads into a small house and is warmly embraced by the family inside. Laughter fills the room as they all sit for dinner. Outside, Nynaeve creeps closer. Suddenly, Lan appears behind her with a gentle smile, catching her off guard. He invites her in and she agrees. The family greets her with joy, grateful for her care of Lan.
Thank you for keeping my Daishan safe.
They share a heartfelt meal with Lan playfully entertaining a kid.
And she likes you a lot.
After dinner, Lan and Nynaeve walk side by side through the quiet night, stopping at his door. A long silence lingers between them before Lan gives a simple goodnight and disappears inside. Nynaeve stands there, clearly not ready to let things end. After a pause, she opens the door and steps in. She asks if he wants her to leave.
Do you want me to go?
Instead of answering, he kisses her. The night becomes theirs to share. Rand focuses on his bow, letting arrows fly, when Egwene finds him. She waited for him, expecting an apology.
You find me?
He quietly says he knew she'd come when she was ready. Rand admits he was wrong to think something was going on between her and Perrin. Egwene, still upset, says it hurt more that he doubted she cared about Matt.
Whatever happens.
He urges her to go train at the White Tower, offering to be her warder. She promises to stand by him, even if he's the Dragon Reborn. Nynaeve quietly fixes her braid in the dim light while Lan sleeps nearby. He stirs, noticing she's about to leave. She softly asks about the name Daishan, and he explains it once belonged to Malkir's future kings.
Given to future kings of Malkir.
A title with no throne now, since the Blight destroyed his kingdom when he was just a child.
You are a king without a kingdom.
His family died that night, and the kind family from yesterday were the ones who helped him escape. Nynaeve realizes his bond with Moraine gave him a place to belong. Lan reminds her he's not tied to anyone. He then gently asks her to stay. While Egwene slept, Rand quietly left and walked to the archery range.
Over here!
Thoughts swirl in his mind, Tam's old words, the power that broke the door in Breen's Spring, the Trolloc he destroyed in the ways. It was never Egwene. The winds whispered it too. He is the Dragon Reborn.
The Dragon Reborn.
Rand enters Min's tavern as she's closing up, asking her to deny that he's the Dragon Reborn. Min doesn't, instead urging him to look into her eyes and admit he truly wants the truth. She shares her first vision. A man in armor, Tam with Rand's heron-marked sword, wasn't his real father but helped Tigraine give birth. She explains how Tam, once an enemy, raised Rand in the Two Rivers, and the child was something impossible. Rand asks Min what she sees now, and she mentions 3 beautiful women. When he asks about his return from the Eye, she doesn't answer, instead moves away.
Nynaeve?
It's morning when Egwene knocks on Nynaeve's door, but when there's no response, she enters. The room is empty, the bed neatly made.
I owe you an apology.
Nynaeve arrives soon after and apologizes for causing trouble with the Two Rivers folk. Perrin follows, closing the door behind him.
I want to go.
They discuss their decision to go to the Eye of the World. Egwene asks about Rand, but Perrin thought he was with her. Meanwhile, Rand knocks on Moraine's door and declares he's the Dragon Reborn.
She left.
By herself.
Lan enters Nynaeve's room, revealing that Moraine has masked their bond.
We have to go through it to get to the Eye of the World.
Egwene realizes Rand and Moraine have already left for the Blight. 3,000 years ago, Luz Therin, the Dragon Reborn by then, and Latroposi de Cume stood divided. Their talk about sealing away the Dark One turned tense, as Latra and the female Aes Sedai refused to support the plan. She warned that exposing the Dark One to the true source could risk everything. After she left, Luz Therin turned to soothe his crying child. Outside the window, a city of gleaming towers and flying craft stretched across the horizon, an age of wonders on the edge of a great fall. By then, the One Power in science created a golden age, ended by the Dark One's release, causing war, madness, and global collapse that we are witnessing in Rand's time right now. While crossing the Blight, Moraine and Rand find a corpse.
Sometimes like to test themselves against them.
She explains some young men foolishly challenge the Blight and die. Perrin tells Egwene they die following Rand into the Blight.
You know we can't go.
Since they don't know where he and Moraine are. They sit together, and he reassures her gently.
We'll always be alright.
While walking through the Blight, Rand and Moraine come across the ruined 7 Towers of Malkir.
The 7 Towers of Malkir.
Rand thinks they've stood ruined for 1,000 years, but Moraine says it's only been 40. She lets them rest briefly and mentions the Blight's rapid spread. It was miles from Tarwin's Gap just 3 years ago. Nynaeve tells Lan she tracked Moraine after the attack on the Two Rivers, not him.
Wasn't you who I tracked?
She offers to teach him how to track Moraine if he brings Rand back. Lan confesses he'll hate the man she chooses,
Because he's not me.
but love him if he makes her smile.
As fierce as a warrior.
He calls her beautiful, fierce, and a lioness, showing deep admiration. Rand wakes, revealing the Dark One knows their location.
What did you dream?
The Dark One appears and kills Moraine,
He's coming.
stabbing her through the head. Rand shoots the Dark One in the eye, revealing a mask hiding a normal face. The Dark One mocks Rand, comparing him to Luz Therin and his companions. He notices Rand's heron-marked blade and lets him know that Tam isn't his father.
Heron-marked blade.
He asks Rand what his plan is.
This is a dream.
Rand insists it's all a dream and stabs himself with his sword. Rand wakes up and Moraine asks if he had a dream. He mentions the Dark One but dismisses it.
You always have a plan within a plan within a...
Moraine reveals a Surengriel to him, explaining it amplifies his power 100 times more. Rand questions how to use that power and she tells him to defeat the Dark One.
You put him back where he belongs, where his touch.
He asks if she believed Egwene was the Dragon Reborn,
Didn't you?
but she remains silent.
You thought it was her.
Rand admits he thought so too. Nynaeve struggles to hear the wind after channeling.
Ever since the day I channeled, I hear nothing.
She asks Egwene if she hears anything, and Egwene replies that what they heard before was a whisper. This is a scream.
Something wrong.
Something might have gone wrong. Moraine and Rand continue through the Blight.
Will you teach me how to channel?
Rand asks if she can teach him to channel, but she warns it brings madness. She explains that his adrenaline will trigger it when needed. Moraine shares her own struggle with embracing the source, solved by an Aes Sedai who lashed her with air and fire until she learned.
You channel it into the Sangreal.
She advises Rand to channel into the Sangreal. Egwene demands answers from Min, but Min says secrets are personal. She reveals her visions always come true. Min then sees Nynaeve burning, guards dying, and an impending attack. Moraine and Rand spot Trollocs heading to Tarwin's Gap. They realize the Dark One knows they're coming. Agelmar, his sister, and his soldiers patrol Fal Dara.
Our men in the fortress have spotted at least...
Yokota reports 60 Fades and up to 100,000 Trollocs emerging from the Blight. He tells them that they all know what they need to do. Agelmar considers moving to the Gap. Moraine and Rand reach the Eye of the World, a deep pit with spiraling stairs. Rand recognizes it in his past lives as a dragon.
I know this place.
And asks if Moraine expects to die if they go there together.
Does that include you?
Silent, she leads him downward. Lan sees Malkir's ruined towers, pauses briefly, then continues. Amalisa helps Agelmar into his armor, urging him to wear their father's, but he insists on his own.
Through hundreds of battles.
Agelmar admits the Gap in Fal Dara will fall and regrets not heeding her earlier advice to alert the tower. Despite this, he hopes their messengers can warn others in time, giving the rest of the world a chance to prepare and fight.
The Dark One is waiting.
His focus is on buying time through sacrifice and holding the line. Moraine and Rand reach the bottom of the Eye. Rand asks what the place once was, but Moraine explains no one knows.
We have no idea.
Records were lost to Dark Friends.
You said you remember this place.
Rand begins remembering, recalling that as Luz Therin he fought the Dark One here. He sees the Aes Sedai symbol and touches it. Suddenly, Rand finds himself in a house in the Two Rivers, where he sees Egwene playing with a baby.
You finished already?
Rand lives his perfect dream, Egwene and their child beside him, peacefully enjoying an ideal life together, just as he always imagined it would be. Meanwhile, back at the Eye, Rand appears unconscious as Moraine tries to wake him. The Dark One manifests, prompting Moraine to channel a strike, but he easily stops the attack and shields her from using the One power. Rand seems trapped between vision and reality, caught in a mental battle as Moraine stands powerless. Agelmar leads his army into the Gap as the battle nears. While the men march, the women, led by Amalisa in her father's armor, prepare Fal Dara's defenses. Amalisa calls for any woman who can channel.
Knights protect Fal Dara!
Min quietly leaves town. Meanwhile, Yokota, Uno, and others remove the throne and dig beneath it.
We're trapped in here.
Loyal informs Perrin, Egwene, and Nynaeve about Amalisa's call for channelers.
Fire on my command!
Inside, Agelmar positions his forces. Fades give the signal and the Trollocs begin their assault. Egwene and Nynaeve join Amalisa. 2 other women accompany them. Perrin struggles with pacifism as others fight.
What are we supposed to do? Just watch our friends die!
Loyal reminds him there are alternatives to violence and encourages him to ask how he can help. Rand starts doubting the reality around him and questions Egwene to be sure.
When we were little.
He asks what they carved into a tree as children, and she answers correctly. Convinced she's real, Rand begins to trust the moment, until everything suddenly freezes. The Dark One appears, approaching them and speaking directly to Rand.
You can remake the world in your image.
He tempts Rand by saying he can help him reshape the world however he desires and offers to show him how to do it. At the Eye, the Dark One wonders what Rand will choose. Moraine threatens Rand's life if he doesn't choose the light. In the throne room, Perrin asks how to help. Uno gives him a pickaxe. Trollocs storm the Gap. Agelmar bravely fights but is struck by a spear. The Dark One destabilizes Rand's illusion by slashing Egwene's neck, proving the world isn't real. Rand demands he fix it and he does.
How do I make it real?
Curious, Rand asks how to make it real. The Dark One begins weakening his resolve. Payton Fane knocks at the door but suspicion rises. As the guards draw swords, Fades behead them. Fane and the Fades enter Fal Dara. The crew uncovers the Horn of Valir, meant for the Dragon Reborn to summon heroes. The Trollocs breach the Gap, and Amalisa instructs the others to open themselves to her use of the One power. They form a link, combining their strength, and prepare to face the oncoming Trollocs, ready to fight together. Perrin sees Payton Fane, hesitates with a weapon, then pursues him.
Look into her eye.
The Dark One tells Rand to empty his emotions, turning them into intense desire to reshape reality. Rand begins channeling. At the Eye, the Dark One informs Moraine that Rand is channeling.
You don't even know what he's channeling.
Leaving her uncertain if it's to free the Dark One or not. Amalisa channels more power from Egwene, Nynaeve, and the others as Trollocs advance. Yokota frees the Horn of Valir but hear a scream. Meanwhile, Rand channels more One power, urged on by the Dark One. Amelisa channels lightning, decimating the Trollocs, but one linked woman dies. Rand channels through Moraine's Surangriel, as the Dark One urges him to reshape the world.
What about what she wants?
Rand asks about Egwene's desires, then releases the power into the Dark One, destroying him. The Force cracks the symbol on the floor.
I did it.
Perrin searches for Peyton Fane but hears fighting. He rushes back to the throne room, finding Peyton and Fades attacking. He stabs Loyal in the chest. Amelisa refuses to release the One power, even after they've stopped the Trollocs. Egwene collapses and Nynaeve unlinks her. Amelisa burns out and Nynaeve nearly does the same. Peyton Fane sheathes the ruby dagger and reveals that he came to the Two Rivers each Beltane to watch the Ta'veren, with Trollocs aiming to capture them for the Dark One and corrupt some to the Shadow. Meanwhile, Mat enters Tar Valon, moving back to the White Tower. At the Eye, Moraine tells Rand they can't return to Fal Dara. Rand, feeling the madness from channeling, decides to leave.
Tell them I didn't make it back.
He asks Moraine to inform everyone else that he's dead, fearing the danger he poses.
It's the beginning.
On the other side, Perrin nearly attacks Peyton Fane,
Run may be the dragon.
but Fane and the Fades leave the throne room unharmed. At the Eye, Moraine holds a chunk of Quendalar. Lan arrives, asking where Rand is, and Moraine reveals he's gone.
He's gone.
Lan requests her to unmask the bond,
I can't touch the source.
but she can't, as she can no longer channel after the Dark One shielded her powers. At the battlefield, Egwene mourns Nynaeve's loss, unknowingly healing her in the process. Meanwhile, Rand, overwhelmed by his life, pauses before disappearing into the Blight. Moraine shows Lan the chunk of Quendalar, which can't be broken even by the One power. She says this isn't the last battle, but likely just the first.
That this wasn't the last battle.
Moving on, a young girl on a western beach sees an armada of red-sailed ships approaching, manned by strangely armored figures. Two pairs of women exit a cabin, the back women issue commands, prompting the front women to channel. This happens on all the ships, creating a tsunami heading toward the shore. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't and let us know where you're watching from in the comments section. Your support is greatly appreciated, my dear friend. Feel free to click on the next video. Thank you.